I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. Wishing everybody a Happy New Year. I've been waiting a while to put this video out, and I think no better time than today to get off my lazy butt and do this video. This today being the 21st anniversary of the Starquake that affected Earth from 42,000 light years away. Basically, it was supposed to be like 50,000 light years away. It was on the other side of the known galaxy. Here is a similar galaxy. If we are here and you go through the center of the galaxy, somewhere around here was our galaxy in question, SGR 1806-20, a magnetar type of neutron star with a very powerful magnetic field. It was discovered in 1979, and by 1979, when it was discovered, that gamma ray burst or that shock wave was well on its way and almost here. It says it's known as a soft gamma ray repeater. It's on the far side of the Milky Way, out of the constellation Sagittarius. Incidentally, this is also the direction that 3i Atlas came from, but it didn't come from there. As a matter of fact, if you were to look into what we were dealing with, by the time this hit us, 3i Atlas was already well inside the Oort cloud coming in. I imagine that 3i Atlas was 3 light days away when the wow signal hit. So it was 1 light day away or less. It was even a half a light day away by the time this magnetar hit. So this is the biggest starquake ever recorded, resulting in oscillations and X-ray emissions from the shaking neutron star. They called it a wobbler, but it was a shaking neutron star. Astronomers hope these oscillations will crack a mystery of why neutron stars are made out of. Not what, why. Not why, what. Sorry, I know I sound like crap, but I can't help it. This is my voice, and it proves I'm not AI. On December 27, 2004, several satellites and telescopes from around the world detected an explosion on the surface of SGR 1806-20, a neutron star 50,000 light years away. The resulting flash of energy, which lasted only a tenth of a second, released more energy than the sun emits in 150,000 years. Combing through the data from the Rossi X-ray Timing Explorer, a team of astronomers identified the oscillations as an emission from SGR 1806-20. Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Frequency 94.5 hertz. The whole thing lasted 10 minutes. This explosion was akin to hitting a neutron star with a gigantic hammer, causing it to ring like a bell. Now the question is, what does this frequency mean in the oscillations? Well, that's what they got to figure out. The particles inside a neutron star are so tightly packed together with electrons, they are forced into an atomic nucleus where they fuse with protons to make neutrons. So that explains how a neutron star works. Go ahead and pause the video here if you want to read this. Let me go back to the beginning here. Sorry, I'm going to pause for a second. There, I paused. Did that do anything for you? Just kidding. So pause the video here. I don't know what that has to do with anything. You can pause the video here to read that. You can pause the video here to read this. And that's about Michael Schreiber right there. You can pause the video if you want to read that. I'm done with that. Now, I learned all this from Ancient Aliens of all places when they talked about it. And they said it was so powerful it blasted off part of Earth's atmosphere. So here is just another example of how I can debunk what that weird-haired freaking fool on Ancient Aliens, Giorgio Tsakoulis, says I mean, God, Childress, Sisaklis, they lie more than they speak truth. But I digress on ancient aliens. Don't even get me started. SGR 1806 did not blast off Earth's atmosphere. Well, yes and no. On December 27, 2004, an immense flash of gamma rays and X-rays from this distant magnetar traveled 50,000 light years, actually been updated to 42,000, causing a spectacular bright starquake that ionized our upper atmosphere, disrupted radio communications, and illuminated the night sky brighter than a full moon. That's how it was detected. They saw it reflect off the moon. They saw the atmosphere ionized. They saw the brightness, and they traced it back. So good on them. The event, in a fraction of a second, released all that energy we talked about. Ionization, radio disruption, visible glow. This is the video of what that might look like. The gamma ray burst hitting Earth, ionizing the upper atmosphere. Well, that's going to still knock some of the upper atmosphere off. It might do a little damage, and I think it did, because in 2005 we had Katrina and some of the weirdest weather on the planet, so I do believe it affected it. But we're going to ask another question here. Hey, Ned Steeler, what does this all have to do with anything? Well, what happened in TECMBER 26, 2004. What happened December? Just a day before that was the infamous catastrophic Indian Ocean earthquake into Tsunami. Now, I am not trying to make fun of anything, and God bless the people that are still alive that survived that. And prayers out to all the family that were ruined. Almost 250,000 people across 14 countries had their lives upended by this tsunami and earthquake on Earth, December 26, 2004. Now, there is no way in a rational man's mind these are not related. Now, the first time I brought this up over 10 years ago on Facebook, somebody said, I can't imagine how these two things can be related. And I said, I can't imagine how these two things are not related. Just because this happened before this happened, by one day on Earth, that's Occam's razor. The simplest answer must be the correct answer. So it's just a galactic coincidence that 50,000 years ago a starquake happened all the way on the other side of the galaxy and just happened to coincide with the 2000 Indian Ocean earthquake. And look at this. This is a daytime earthquake. So Earth was on the other side of the sun to Sagittarius at this point, just like it is now. We are in wintertime on the other side of the sun. So that starquake actually was directly in line with daytime in 2004 when it hit, is what I'm saying. Now, I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of people argue with something happened over here cannot affect something that happened over here. Well, this is a spin word, and this is where Earth is, and this is, or we're rimwards out here. Coreward would be this direction, so towards the core of the galaxy would be in this direction right here. I don't know why I brought this up. But let's go ahead and go back to, well, the starquake hasn't literally blown off part of Earth's atmosphere. A massive neutron star released all that energy. Why it matters. The atmospheric impact. Well, we don't know much about the atmospheric impact because we can't prove that it did cause an atmospheric impact. But look at this one right here. This is what we call the bow shock of the interstellar wind. So this starquake sent a gamma ray burst, a shock wave, and everything coming probably from this direction right here into the solar system. Well, this area right here, look where Voyager was when I took this. Voyager was down here. Voyager 2's here. Voyager 1's over here. They are almost past, and then now they are at the shock terminator. So they are approaching 1 light day away. So let me explain this as a shock event. When this gamma ray burst hit the shock terminator, at this point, 1 light day away, it affected everything inside our solar system. And that is my theory, that everything in here, that if we could measure what happened on the 26th of December 2004 in all of our planets and the sun, and go back and look at everything, more than just the Earth would probably show something catastrophic happened. Because what happens when you hit the shock terminator, you burst this whole thing like a bubble, and then the sun rebuilds it just like it does with the magnetic field when the magnetic field bubbles burst, and you see the northern lights and the southern lights. That is from the magnetic field bursting. Well, what's to say the same thing did not happen here 1 light day away when this shock from the starquake hit our little tiny bubble of Earth here, our little corner of space, and caused a massive impact on everything in here. That is my theory. But let's go one step farther. And let's blame it on quantum mechanics. I want to go with quantum entanglement. So this is a little Venn diagram of quantum entanglement. But let's see what Einstein had to say. What is the spooky science of quantum entanglement? Particles engage in mind-boggling phenomenon known as the backbone of quantum mechanics. So what if the quantum entanglement of something at the edge of our 1 light day away bubble at the shock terminator, maybe it was just a rock out there that got destroyed, and that rock was part of Earth, and quantum entanglement had that thing affect the seabed? Come on, I know it sounds stupid, but it is Occam's razor here. You cannot dismiss quantum entanglement as part of this. It's only 1 day away. And there's a lot we don't know about the universe. There's 95% of it is a mystery to us. How about 99% of the universe is a mystery to us? Christ, 3i Atlas just proved that we don't know anything about comets. Oh, it must be a space probe, because it can't possibly be something we don't have any understanding of. So therefore, it's just aliens. God, you sound like ancient aliens. Can't wait for George H. Tsoukalos to tell us what it did, because we all know he's the king of aliens. Quantum science explores and helps explain some of the strangest phenomena in the universe, even shedding light on the mystery of dark matter and dark energy. Quantum is the study of atoms and subatomic particles and how they interact with each other. It examines the very stuff we and everything around us are made of. So if you want to read this, there's that page. Back to classical quantum physics. And here are related sources. So you can pause this along if you need that. My point being that there could have been either during one of the many times a chunk of Earth was blown off and blown out into space and ended up all the way out in the Oort cloud, or not quite the Oort cloud. It would probably been to the outer edge of the Kuiper belt. Maybe that was a piece of Earth that when it got destroyed, quantum entanglement destroyed a piece of that same rock on Earth. Hey, we don't know nothing. It could happen. But I like the quantum entanglement theory just on the fact that maybe there's some entanglement between everything in this little bubble. All this was all formed at the same time from the same gas, same rock, same ice, all this stuff. When the sun was born, it started this whole magnetic field where this bow shock is the edge of, this is the edge of the sun's influence on our corner of the galaxy, and this is where the interstellar winds hit the Earth's magnetic field, and all this is affected by that very little because of the magnetic field, but not zero effect. So if there's not nothing, then it could be something. And the fact that this tsunami happened on January 26th, and this happened on, December 26th, December 26th, 2004, December 27th, 2004. Obviously, I'm either the smartest person on Earth or the biggest idiot on Earth, because I seem to be the only one that put 2 and 2 together and says this makes 4. So we're going to go with the biggest idiot ever, but I'm putting this out there on YouTube. Bless you, YouTube, for this, because now this is out there for posterity. Hopefully, somebody that thinks they're smarter than me can prove my theory for me, and we can move along and say, yes, this starquake caused this tsunami, and maybe someday we can use that to help determine and prevent, or determine and save people from future disasters. So, this is Ned Steeler signing off. Thank you for watching.